On MorningLine, thanks for joining us. Our final segment this morning, talking about Operation Stand Down, an event going on today that we can tell you about. John Crenson's with us. He is the executive director of Stand Down here in Tennessee. Again, that event today is taking place. Is it, what time is it?
We started up at 8 o'clock,
okay,
and we'll go to about 3 o'clock today.
And that is over at the...
at Bethel AME Church is hosting the majority of the event, and that's at the corner of South Avenue and 12th Avenue.
And you can
right
go
by
in
the
there.
Gulch. That's
okay,
right.
You said flu shots?
Flu shots today, legal aid, employment services, housing services.
All that. You guys provide legal aid too sometimes?
We have a relationship with the Legal Aid Society, and so they're one of our indirect partners. So there's many services that we provide directly, but the great thing about Operation Stand Down is that we partner with a variety of other service organizations, whether they cater specifically to veterans or if veterans are just a sub-constituency. So if you are a veteran and you have challenges, you're struggling, or you have benefits but you're not sure what they are, at Operation Stand Down, we're sort of that one-stop shop clearinghouse.
Which you need.
That we can walk you through it. Well, part of the problem that a lot of folks coming off active duty have is that and they've sat through the PowerPoint presentations of all the things that are available to them, but they're thinking about going home and getting off duty.
No doubt.
And then they find themselves out there, it's like, I don't even know where to start.
Right.
Well, you can start at Operation Stand Down.
Good. Okay, that's great. And listen, one thing you do help them with, and we have to address this, is the ones that come back that maybe aren't in a condition to get a job for whatever reason, so they can go for disability claims.
That's right. That's right.
And this again is not disability as we have our friends from Social Security come on. This is disability claims through the VA.
That's right, and related to combat duty, to deployments or training. And so what we find is that many times a veteran doesn't understand what they may be qualified for, or they know that they have a disability, but they're not sure how to pursue a claim.
Do you imagine, and you may not, you probably don't know the comparison, but is it the same type of standard, to get SSI and things like that through Social Security, you have to be 100% disabled. And the definition of that can be subjective to some degree. But with veterans applying for disability claims through the VA, there are different degrees of
20 degree, 30%, you can get a 40% disability.
You determine someone is well enough to maybe get a part-time job and can hold that while they struggle with some of their issues.
Or even a full-time job if it's a low percentage. That's right.
But if it's lower percentage, they can still get something to supplement that.
That's exactly right.
That's different than, it's a better benefit, it sounds like to me, than what you get through SSI.
That's right. That's right. And you still have to be assessed by a VA doctor and all that. But what we find is that the average amount of time to process a military disability claim is about 8 months.
All right.
But that's when everything's good to go. But what happens is the veteran doesn't know where to start, or they initiate a claim, but then it gets returned after it sat on a desk somewhere for a few months because they're just stacked up. And oh, hey, there's an error. So they send it back to the veteran. Now the veteran's got to figure that out. Send it back, another error. It goes back and forth. And then many times the veteran just gets overwhelmed and just gives up. Says, this is, I just can't get through this. Going through Operation Stand Down, we can walk them through. We can't fill it out for them, but we can fill it out with them, and we can review it before we send it to VA to be approved or to be assessed. Also, we have a very great relationship with the VA, so they work with our benefit counselors on a regular basis. So they know when they're working with a veteran through us that chances are the claim is going to be completed correctly, and we can get it through. So we don't necessarily get it processed faster, but what we help the veteran do is get it to the right place and written up the right way.
And that's crucial.
It's crucial because you can spend months or years just doing it wrong.
Yeah,
and not get it to where it needs to get through.
Misplaced, something in one of the lines, and it messes you up. You got to start all over.
Exactly. All right. So we do almost, between 500 to 600 of those a year, working with veterans a year doing that.
And the other support system services in place. We were talking during one of the breaks about the suicide rate. I have a friend whose son came back and was never the same after 2 tours, and they tried to help, and he passed. He died, and we don't know for sure if it was some type of overdose or if it was suicide, but clearly this was a healthy man who came back who was never able to recover. Now, I'm wondering with suicide rates, and I still wonder if there's enough counseling out there available, if enough people seek it. You say men are more likely to seek it coming back now than women, perhaps, to some degree?
Perhaps so, yeah. That's at least in terms of general help, and I would imagine perhaps the same for suicide as well.
And you told me you've lost some soldiers.
I've lost 2 soldiers when I was a battalion commander. So I lost one before we deployed. This soldier had never deployed, so we don't think it was related to his military experience. But I did have one soldier who was a stellar soldier, young man in East Tennessee, and about 7 months after we returned, he took his life.
It's just so. What could have been done to save him?
I mean, that's what's hard. I mean,
it's just you try, but I mean, do you believe there are enough services there for some of these soldiers who come back to deal with the mental issues? It's real easy to see someone who's lost a limb or something, but to be dealing with that horrible hurt, and I just wonder, the suicide rates have kind of dipped a bit, but now they're coming back up.
Yeah.
Why?
You know, it's a $1 million question, and we don't know. There's a lot of it that's tied to military service. There may be a lot of it that's tied to society at large with the millennial generation. You know, I'm not expert enough to comment on that, but I do know my experience is twofold with this. One, through Operation Stand Down. So we can help soldiers who are dealing with PTSD or feel at risk for suicide. We have counseling that's provided on site. We have a very good partnership with Centerstone, who are more on the mental health side. So that's one of our great partnerships that we have. Again, a veteran in need can find what they need through Operation Stand Down. And the other side is my experience in the Army National Guard. The Army National Guard has made a yeoman tremendous effort to take care of our soldiers who are experiencing suicide ideations or on the brink of suicide.
How do they find out about it?
Well,
if they don't come forward themselves, or do they?
Well, we do. The National Guard, we have put a responsibility on our soldiers and on our leaders to keep an eye on our soldiers and provide resources. We call it the Guard Your Buddy concept. And so there is a Major General Haston, who is the Adjutant General for the state of T, developed this program called Guard Your Buddy. And basically, we have an app that is provided to every soldier. They can put on their phone, and it's not so much for the person who's contemplating suicide, though it's there for them. To say, hey, if I'm down and I'm struggling, I can hit this app and find the resources I need. But we're also making sure that all of our young leaders and senior leaders are keeping an eye on each other. You know, that whole battle buddy concept. So if you're my battle buddy, and I'm keeping an eye on you, and you start exhibiting some things I'm concerned about, I can hit my app and say, hey, Sergeant so-and-so is exhibiting these behaviors. You know, what should I do? And then now I can start to make the necessary movements and steps to start getting you some help.
And do you believe that, and I don't know through your experience if you came across this, that the culture to some degree is changing with regard to that? Because I know I did some stories out of Fort Campbell, you know, several years back when the suicide rate was really through the roof there, and talking to them about how, you know, there's a couple of them that said, listen, if we go to our commanding officers, they may put on a good face, but then we kind of get a black mark as being weak. And is that culture changing? I know they were trying to send that message out, but no matter how you slice it, the military, and it is a thing, you've got to be tough.
Right.
But, you know, to ignore human nature that we all feel, even the toughest individuals, is foolish. But it seems like, you know, I don't want the deterrent still there. Do you think that culture is changing?
There is a deliberate and I believe an authentic effort to change that culture, but changing that sort of a mindset is like turning the Titanic.
Especially with some of the older commanders.
That's right.
Because they came up differently. I'm thinking of the newer, younger ones, and folks like you understand it. And again, that it's strength to be dealing with these people if they come forward. And help them heal and then help them get on with their lives.
Well, and send them back as stronger leaders and stronger soldiers.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
You know, we're trying to develop what we call the resilient soldier. So we have all these resiliency campaigns that are going on. And that has to do with physical resiliency, mental resiliency, but also with spiritual and emotional resiliency.
You're talking about this in basic training?
And this is in the National Guard. It starts in basic training and it's provided throughout your military career. In the Guard, we have Master Resilient Trainers, we call them, MRTs. And we have one at every unit. So a soldier is selected for this position. They go to train to understand and learn how to help soldiers become more and more resilient. Now, they can only work up to their own level of expertise, but they understand where the resources are.
How do you prepare a soldier to deal with what he or she sees after he shoots and kills someone?
Yeah, that's what we're learning how to do.
Wow, so, I guess the preparation, is that what they would do? Or just preparation? You know that you may have to be put in a situation like that.
That's right.
You understand you're serving your country. It could be you or them or whatever. I mean, I don't know how you deal with that. I mean, I'm not being in the military myself. How you get past that, but it's great that you have that. You're at least addressing it. It may work for some, others
it may not work for others, and we may not get it right the first time. As all these things are new, you know, in our military. And but the good thing is that we're doing it though. Exactly.
All right. As we wrap things up, just one last thing. Any parting note you want to leave with Operation Stand Down? The things that you need. Again, donations. Again, you get federal funding, but
it's restricted to homeless veterans. homeless. And so to help those veterans that aren't homeless yet but are at risk, we need the private donations. Especially
cash donations.
That's right.
As we heard from, I believe it was Mary earlier, she said that they donated a lot from an estate.
Furniture, clothes, exactly, kitchenware. We need those things.
Is there, and the best way to is there a website you would say people can go to?
Sure.
Is it
www.osdtn.org. Or just do a Google search for Operation Stand Down Tennessee, and that'll get you right to us.
And it sounds to me like if you have that furniture and items, that must be in good shape. You'll go get it.
But we'll pick it up.
You'll go get it.
We will pick it up.
What about vehicles?
And if it's on a first floor level, we'll even go in and get it. So we're one of the few organizations that will still do that.
You need vehicles?
So we will take vehicles for in-kind type donations, and we use vehicles. So we have a fleet of vans and vehicles for our outreach specialists. So yes, we will entertain taking vehicles, clothing, especially for the thrift store.
Oh, that's right.
That's right.
And again, the thrift store, to remind folks, 12th Avenue, right? And
that's right, 12th Avenue Thrift.
It's right next door to the office there for Operation Stand Down. And
right.
And then you'll see veterans working there in the thrift store.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
We'll go there, and the money raised there goes to the cause. And as you said, 87 cents of every dollar, which is very good.
Exactly.
Goes to the veterans. 168 veterans and their families received financial assistance. Real quickly, you get them going, and sometimes financial. Can you help them if they're hurting on a certain month to make rent or to pay the heating bill?
That's right, or to pay utilities or something like that.
We didn't touch on that. We should say
exactly.
that.
And what we do on that is we will actually review their bank statements to make sure that they are responsible with the dollars they have. So if they're spending money irresponsibly, we're good stewards of our dollars, and we have to call them now. And now we have programs to teach them how to budget and mentor with them to do that. But we will not just throw money at them without verifying that what their true need is.
But once you verify it, you've helped people with utilities in the winter, or their families, or to maybe make that last rent or something like that.
Exactly right. We sure do.
More people need to know. Just make sure it's there. And mention Operation Stand Down. Seek it out, because any veteran running through a tough time, or their family, give a call.
The most important thing that somebody can send us, besides the donations of money or furniture or clothing, but the most important thing they can send us is that veteran in need.
Yeah, that's great. And again, the office there is on 12th Avenue, and it's Monday through Thursday, 8 to 4:30, Friday, 10 to 4:30. And again, today you said there is an event going on at, which church?
It's at our service center, but also at the Bethel AME at South and 12th Avenue.
Flu shots, legal advice, all of that kind of stuff is great. John Crenson, thanks for coming on. Listen, anytime you need anything to promote for Operation Stand Down or anything along that, you let us know.
You bet.
If we can get the word out, it's great. We need more of that. And thank you for coming on.
You bet. We appreciate it.
Our pleasure. We'll take a break, and I'll have a programming note about tomorrow right after this. Stay with us.